In this video, we're going to have a look at using the dollar sign in some formulas. There are currently 3 ways to use the dollar sign. You can either lock a cell reference, which is called an absolute, or you can use a mixed column lock, which will only lock the column, or a mixed row lock, which will only lock the row. Basically, the dollar sign works as a pin to hold things in place. Let's practice using the bit of data that we've got here. So I'm going to use a sum formula to add up column D for volume. So I'm going to type equals to let Excel know that I'm going to be typing a formula. I'm going to write the word sum, and then I'm going to press Shift and 9 to open the brackets. I'm going to select from D2 all the way to D21. I'm going to press Shift and 0 to close that off. I'm now going to press enter. So currently we can see if we press F2 in the cell, we have got the references D2 to D21. We can also see this in the formula bar. What we can do is press F2 to go into the cell, or alternatively, we can just go up to the formula bar using our mouse, click in the middle, press F4, and that puts a dollar sign before the D and before the 2. And if we do the same again with the second part of the range and we press F4 here, it's going to put a dollar sign before the D and a dollar sign before the 21. This is an absolute reference. It stops anything from moving. So now we've populated the dollar signs, we can press Ctrl and C in this cell, move to E23, press Ctrl and V, and we can now press F2 to activate the cell. And as you can see, the cell reference and the formula bar are both reading. The formula is the $D $2 to $D $21. So what does that mean? The first part of the cell range, the D2, will not move, and the end part, the D21, will also not move. And this works whether we go across the rows or down the columns. So if we go down a few rows here, paste that formula, press F2 to reactivate, and we can see that that has not changed. So that is how you lock absolute. So them cells will not move no matter where you copy your formula to, that will stay the same. In the second part of the video, we're going to look at locking a cell reference. We're going to create an absolute cell reference. So we're going to practice in this result summary. First, what we're going to do is pull through the total sales from the cell E23 using equals. So I'm going to type equals, click on E23 and press enter. Now that has pulled the result from E23 into this cell. If I was to try and copy this formula using Ctrl and C and moving the results to this total sales section and press Ctrl and V, when we paste in the formula and press F2 to activate the cell, we can see the number of columns we've moved to the right, so has the result. So how to stop this? We go back in, we can two different ways of doing it. You can press F2, press F4, and that will put the dollars at either side. Alternatively, what you can do is you can go into the formula bar, press F4 just the once, and it'll put a dollar sign before the column and a dollar sign before the row. Once we've done that, we can copy that formula, paste it back over where we wanted, press F2 to see what's going on, and we can see that that has not changed. Let's do another practice with that. So let's type equals. This time let's select the volume. Before we press anything, because we know we're going to lock the cell, we can press F4 straight away, and that we can see the dollar signs have appeared before the D and before the 23. We press enter. We can now copy that formula and we can paste it over here in the total volume using Ctrl and C to copy, Ctrl and V to paste, press F2 to reactivate the formula to see what's going on, and there you can see that has not moved. Let's try something a little bit more complicated now. So we've seen how it works with a column, and we locked the references when we did the sum down the column. We've now practiced it also on locking a result and just doing an absolute cell reference. Finally, let's practice with a sum if. This time I'm going to start with no dollars. So let's do an equals, let's type the word sum if, and let's press Shift and 9 to start the bracket. Let's start with range. The range will be the color, so I'm going to select from B2 to B21. I'm then going to press the comma to move on to the next part of the formula or the function. I'm going to select this cell here, which is H10, which has the color blue inside. Once we've done that, we can press the comma and move on to the final part, which is the sum range. And we're looking at sales, so we need to add up E2 all the way to E21. Once we've done that, we can press Shift and 0 and enter. If you'd like to learn more about the sum ifs, please check out one of my previous videos where I go into a deep dive in how to do a sum if across rows, down columns, with a few different examples. So now we've done the sum if, what we can do is we press F2 and we can look at that result. So we can see the ranges that we've selected there. We can see the first range, which is the color, and the final range, which is the sales value that we're adding up. What happens if we was to copy this formula to try and return the sales for black pens? So let's do a Control and C to copy the formula. Let's go down the 3 cells and press Control and V. As you can see, it's returned 0. Let's press F2 and see what's actually happened. After pressing F2, you can see the first part of the formula, which is the blue font, which is for the criteria range, has moved. And also if you check the third part of the formula, which is the sum range, that has also moved. Meaning the formula is unable to return black because black is at the top of the table. So how do we fix this? So let's just delete this formula and let's go back to the original formula. So first I'm going to show you how to amend a formula that you've already typed, and then second we will retype the formula and add in the dollar signs as we go. So this is the easiest way I find when you first start using sum ifs and formulas, is to type out your formula and then to add in your dollar signs afterwards. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the formula bar. I'm going to go up to the first part of the formula, which is B2 to B21, which is the color range. I'm going to press F4 on the first part. You also need to go to the second part where it says we've covered B2, now we need to go to B21, press F4. Once we've done that, the first part of the range has been covered. We've got the dollar signs exactly where we need them. In this instance, we don't need to do anything with the middle criteria. We just need to cover the ranges. So I'm going to go to the third part of the formula. I'm going to click where E2 is. I'm going to press F4, and that has now locked that cell. Let's go to E21 and press F4. Now we've done that, we can press enter, and that's going to return the value. We can now put it back on the cell, press Control and V, move our cursor down to the sales black, press Control and V, and the formula has now worked. So let's press F2 and see what's happened. You can see we've been able to drag this formula down and none of the ranges have moved, which is exactly the result that we wanted. Just show you what also we could do with this. We could, let's say for example, we wanted to now do green pen, so we could type in here green. We could copy the formula down, so we could just go back over, Control and C to copy the formula, or Control and V. And now let's press F2, see what's happened. So we can see the ranges have not moved, but the cell criteria reference has. So the H14 has moved. If we go back up one cell, it was H13. If we go back up to blue, you can see that was H10. So the only reference is moving is the color. In this video, we've run through 3 different examples of how to lock a cell, a column, and a formula. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Catch me in the next video where I'll be looking at sum ifs.